Is it just me?
Oh, okay.
Is it just me?
Yes.
Or was it not great? Was the show not great? Like, is it just me? Or am I crazy?
Okay. You're not crazy,
Okay.
but you're crazy.
This is Geek Off The Street, your go-to channel for all things from obscure geekdom to modern-day pop culture and everything else in between. What's up, everybody?
Let's go.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever song. Yeah, I don't know what song we're playing. Anyway, yeah. If you guys don't know, we're referencing. I mean, I guess we're referencing any band ever, but
right.
But specifically today,
Yes.
yeah, it's an exciting day for us.
Right. We're talking about the new Netflix series.
Yeah.
They dropped it all. Just a couple days ago?
Yeah, on 17th.
Yeah,
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Right.
An adaptation of, I guess, the manga mostly, or the graphic novel,
Yeah.
but, also from other properties it's in.
Right, yeah. They got the movie out there too, which obviously comes from the graphic novel, comic book, and everything too. So
Exactly, yeah.
We're talking about that. Hopefully you've seen the movie. Hopefully you've read the comic. You've done one of those two.
Yeah, played the game at least all the way
Played
through.
the game.
Even the
I've
game
got
will
the
give you the
game.
story.
I have not even played it yet.
Haven't even touched it
I
yet?
haven't even cracked it open.
Yeah, well, you know what I forgot to do though?
Huh.
I forgot to tell everybody that my name is Trent.
And my name is Mark.
And this is
Geek Off the Street.
Greatest podcast of all time. Talking about geek culture,
Right.
pop culture, and whatever else we want. That's the important one.
Yes. And the other thing you got to do is
Deal with it. And this week's no exception because
Yes.
as we just said, we're covering Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Right.
But yeah, the Scott Pilgrim itself is just such a
It's
creative world. The comic book is great.
Super unique. It's the way it tells its story is different from a lot of other comic books out there.
Yeah.
We're both fans of the movie. The movie's got a huge cult following. And like we said, hopefully you've already seen it. And if not, then go watch that.
And if you didn't like it, just stop listening now.
Yeah, there's something.
Don't ever come back.
You gotta. You just gotta fix yourself.
And
take some time
work on
out.
yourself.
Work on yourself. It's okay.
Yeah.
And when you do come back, come right back.
So today we are talking about the Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is the title of the anime adaptation on Netflix, 8-episode series. And we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But before we do that, how are we doing? What are we drinking this week?
Yes. I'll let you tell everybody what we're drinking.
So this beautiful drink in this classy martini glass.
Yeah, see, we've stepped it up, everybody.
Yeah.
Kenji, you're still with us in our hearts,
Yeah,
so
glass
never get it
glasses
twisted.
are the best, but martini glasses are cool too. This is called the Ramona Martini. And it has a mixture of some gin, blue curacao, and some pineapple juice.
Very simple.
Pretty simple, straightforward, but tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to drink it out of a martini
Exactly.
glass. You got to do it right.
I would cheers you, but I don't want to spill it. So.
Yeah, right?
I was trying to get to it before it spilled.
Yeah.
And then I took a breath as I was drinking it.
choked
Choked. But yeah, very delicious, tasty, sweet, but also has a little bit of that the gin offsets it.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a tasty drink. I like it. This might be a keeper. Yeah, and it has a nice little color to it too. If you're watching the video,
Still drinking. Yeah. Very simple.
Yeah.
Flavor is great. Yeah, like you said, there's a hint of sweetness, but the gin kind of balances it out. So it's not. You're not drinking like Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Yes.
We had a long conversation about a little bit ago.
Yes, we had a conversation about Kool-Aid.
Yeah. But how are we doing this week? I just worked. Man, I had a long week. I'm not going to keep telling you how much I hate my job, but I need to get out of there.
There you go. There you go. Preach it.
Yeah. It's definitely been a downer these last few weeks. So I need to make some moves to get out of there. Which I have been, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
but
got to throw shit against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Also, with Disneyland over the weekend.
Oh, nice, cool.
Their Christmas started, so everything's all festive.
Yeah, they
a lot
started
of good
fast.
Christmas foods and stuff. So that was pretty fun.
Any cool Christmas food?
I didn't get it, but I wanted to get the French French dip sandwich that I want to try. But I did get this. It was like a Filipino adobo pork burrito.
Interesting.
Ridiculous.
Really?
It's huge. The size of my forearm. It's pretty big. But
Wow, at
it was
Disneyland.
really good though. And it actually had This was the secret, was that there's like pieces of lumpia. There's like a lumpia inside it as well.
Really?
So there's like a crispy bite with like lumpia,
Yeah.
but also a pork adobo in there.
Lumpia, if you don't know, is essentially like a Filipino egg roll.
Yeah, like a fried egg roll kind of. Yeah, a Filipino style.
Yeah.
I mean, egg rolls are fried, right? Anyway, so
You're good. You're good.
But it was really good.
Really?
Really, really. I had to cut it in half and share it with my girlfriend. Even that was filling.
Wow.
But man, it was good.
Surprising.
It was super tasty. I was really happy with that. So I might get that one more time before the holidays are up.
All right, good job, Disney.
Yeah, but definitely getting the French dip next time though. So I am a sucker for French dip sandwiches. Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, nothing special. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to be going to Disneyland at some point in time, but I'm not sure when. But what did I do? Well, I worked over the weekend.
Oh, fun.
This guy. It's not too bad. It's doing the weekend shifts for my job is not too bad. But while I was, out in the field doing my thing, I just started looking up like when the next convention was going to be. I don't know what prompted me to do it exactly. But
the fact that we kept missing a bunch of conventions.
Yeah, that too. That too. I was probably thinking of Greg and like, Greg was at the convention. Why didn't I go to the convention? When is a convention? What's a convention? So I started looking him up, and then I saw that there was one happening in Ontario that same day. Yeah. So once I got off work, which is in the afternoon, I went over to the Ontario Convention Center, and they had the Anime Expo Chiba convention. Yeah. So, obviously been to different anime conventions before, but this one was really great. Yeah. It might be the biggest convention, as far as like geek culture is concerned, between comic books, anime, horror, that has been at the convention center, because it spilled over into the outside. They had shops and booths outside. They had a great variety of food out there as well, which was great. I've always wanted to try Japanese style curry.
Oh yeah,
you
had curry before?
I've had curry a bunch of times, but I always see it in like animes and whatnot. So I'm thinking like it seems the next thing I got to try is like a croquette. Oh, because I always see that in Japanese stuff too. It's it's a cheap food apparently, like an inexpensive food. I always get the impression like if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, they make croquettes kind of thing.
Same with curry, man. Like it's kind of a poor man's food. It's really cheap, and you can make a lot of it. I just had curry 2 days ago. Actually,
did you?
Made some. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I probably have it maybe once a month, maybe more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I love curry.
Yeah. So have you noticed the difference between that and like Indian style curry or Thai
definitely.
curry?
Spices are a little bit different for sure.
Yeah. That's what I was curious about.
The Thai one specifically is very different to me. I'm not a big Thai food guy in general. But the Thai curry is a little different. Racist, but
cheap shots.
But
I do them all day.
But I do. It took me a while to enjoy Indian curry, but I think I had to go to the right places. The first couple times I tried it, I was going into places that weren't great. Yeah. But I did go to one that was really good that changed my mind. So it's really good, but different also. So yeah. I think the Japanese curry is a little more, not quite as extreme with flavors. Like spices, I guess is what I said.
Right, yeah, with the spices, definitely,
but I love curry, man. So good.
So I tried it. Like I said, I figured there was probably a difference. I felt like there was a difference, and like you said, there is. So I got that. I got some dongos. Nice. Yeah, I wanted to save some for you. But one, I don't know how long dongos stay like fresh or transportable, so to speak, because I wanted to get some for you and your parents, but I got weak. I'm sorry. Tell them I said I'm sorry, but I broke.
It's all good.
They were looking at me in the fridge. And
I had a couple of other days, so we're cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I had them in the fridge. But
So do they keep like a week? Like if I gave these to you, would it have been like, why are you giving me this trash?
Honestly, I wouldn't eat them past 3 days.
Oh, crap.
I think. Yeah. Did you eat them past 3 days?
Of course I did.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, but I'm sure they last.
But I'm not a disgusting slob like you.
I think just like the sauces, and I'm not sure how long the sauces keep or the mochi itself keeps. Maybe longer, I guess, if it's in the fridge. But I don't know. Like, I just have a 3-day rule for pretty much anything because I don't like getting food poisoning.
I hear him.
And even though I think that's a little extreme, but
I definitely don't have a 3-day rule for food in the fridge. I definitely don't. But this mochi, I got it because I got it last weekend, last Sunday, essentially.
Okay.
So
got it.
and I kind of felt like I didn't want to give them, your parents. Like, you could eat whatever, but I don't want to give your parents any like bad.
I see.
Dongos. So.
Oh, the food truck or the food spread are pretty great over there, man. All the different stands.
Yeah, it was a really good. Normally, when you go to a convention, they'll have food trucks, and I love a quality food truck because you get a great variety of very creative foods. But with this one, it was all like Japanese style stuff. So it was very cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I got like a melon soda, and I didn't even know how much that's like. Give me one of those.
Love melon sodas, man.
I saw they had I think they had a shaved ice with red bean.
Oh yeah,
on top. I didn't get to that, unfortunately, because I spent all my time in the convention. By the time I got to the convention, it was already in the afternoon, so it was probably like a good 4 hours left, maybe.
Oh, okay. So you had to like book it in there.
Yeah. So I was running through it. But the convention was really good. It was really good. I was really impressed. I bought 1 or 2 things like I typically do. I was hoping to see more stuff, but overall though, the stuff I did see was very cool.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that I saw that it may be one of the best things that, as a geek, maybe one of the best things that I saw.
Yeah.
They didn't have any more of it or not a good one, not the one that you really want to get. I'm being very mysterious right now because I'm obviously going to buy this thing. And I am really looking forward to getting it. I don't want to say anything yet.
Oh, you're not even going to tell us what it is?
I'm not even going to tell you what it is because it's so... And again, I think just the people watching the show, you'll get it.
Yeah.
When I bring it out on the show and I talk about it, you'll get it.
Okay.
Everybody else is going to be like, who cares? Who cares? But the geeks will get it. And I think you'll effing love it. I think it was like, that's kind of cool.
Okay.
Now I've overhyped it.
Take your word for it.
Yeah.
I'm no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. I'm being super serious. I don't even want to give any hints, but it was a very cool event. Very cool event. Yeah.
Very cool. I might have to check it out next year. Yeah. It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And I went on like Sunday, the last day, so it was a little bit cheaper to get in. But this was one of these things that I would probably be willing to spend money to go in, or just go in with the press pass, Geek Off The Street, baby, get in there for free, and then just
where we don't abuse our press passes.
Yeah.
We go in there.
Yeah, if anybody's listening.
Yeah, we cover the
We do the stuff. We do the work.
Get some content done.
Stop looking at us funny.
But if you're already in there,
you gotta...
I'm not gonna like leave and go pay for a regular pass just to go buy stuff.
Come on.
I'm already in there.
Come on, I'm already in there.
Use your brain.
Yeah. And we're giving back.
Yeah.
We're giving back.
Exactly, yeah.
People are saying they did this whole podcast just so they can get into conventions for free. That is not true.
Yeah, not at all.
That is not true.
Yeah.
It's just a perk.
Yeah, because that was the only perk. I wouldn't be doing a podcast.
I'm glad we paid the reason, $50 to get in.
Yeah, exactly. To do the podcast every week, but I do the podcast because it's fun. So anyway, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna check it out next time. Yeah, for sure.
Anime Expo Chiba. If you hear it coming to your town, check it out.
Check it out. Yeah,
check it out
for sure. Cool. All right, well, let's do a couple of shout outs before we get into the show. Really, this just goes out. We got kind of a. I mean, it goes back and forth. We got some pretty good views and some comments this last week on our takes on
the Loki episode.
Attack on Titan mostly.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Well, a couple of the clips got a lot of responses. Mostly people disagreed with us. So I've been responding to people all week. Like,
nice, good.
Then the amount of times I had to say like, it's cool, man. Everyone has their own opinion, and people just didn't take that as a response. They're just like, it's like, well, you just didn't get it. And I'm like, well, opinion again.
Yeah.
Again,
that's the whole point.
Opinion is an opinion. That's what it is. It's not a fact or anything. But if we saw it one way, you saw it a different way. That's cool. But people didn't want to take that as an answer either, so I just had to stop responding at some point.
I love it.
But anyway, thank you guys for checking stuff out though. Right. That's a big deal for us. I want to give a quick shout out to Lazy Bot Studios. That's my neighbor, David. He's an artist.
Oh, cool.
And he has a podcast called The Enabler Podcast that he does with a friend of his. And we've been talking for a long time.
The Enabler.
Yeah. Wanting to get him on our podcast.
Oh, sweet.
But he's a big comic book guy, big geek. And I saw him the other day. I talked to him for a little bit. Great dude.
What kind of art does he do?
I think his day job, I think he works for Apple doing like concept art.
Oh, shit.
But like he does a lot of like commissions and stuff and draws. He's a really, really good artist. His detail's insane. Wow, I'll show you some of his stuff. But cool. Yeah, he's a fantastic artist. Super nice, super cool guy. He lives across the street from me. So nice. We'll get him on the show. But yeah, big shout out to David.
We'll let him do some stuff for Geek Off the Street. See my subtle mind tricks.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Yeah, very cool though.
Yeah.
Appreciate the responses.
Definitely. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to get your own shout out, drop us a line at the Gots Pod, basically on any site, Geek Off the Street on YouTube and Facebook.
Yep.
We're there. Content comes out every single day, so you can't miss anything.
Right.
And we're here to
rock your world.
Exactly. I guess. Yeah. Good save. Thank you, man.
But I definitely saw some comments and some feedback about the Loki.
Yeah, already. Episode. One, we posted one clip for the Loki short, and it's already gotten some responses.
It's already gotten a lot of responses about it. But one
that was strategic. I posted the one that I knew was going to get some
inside your head. Take that, algorithm.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was talking with CJ this morning or this afternoon, and he was saying one thing about Sylvie and the whole accountability thing that we were talking about. It kind of makes sense because she's a Loki. Yeah. So that was like, that's cool. I hadn't thought of that.
I see that, yeah.
Right. And I think I kind of posted something too, that she still should have been called out, but it makes sense that she would be like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Yeah. And I don't care because that's who I am.
Totally. I agree with you as far as the Loki character in general.
Yeah.
But in this case, both of these Lokis, I think, have grown and have become more
than what they started out as. Yeah,
right. And Sylvie obviously cares for Loki. Loki cares for Sylvie. They obviously care about each other.
Right.
And they obviously have grown as people, but not just these selfish, mischievous gods, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I 100% see what you're saying, but I think at this point in the story, it doesn't seem like, I don't know. Seems like they kind of went back on it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I agree. I kind of posted something saying that too.
Yeah.
That that was a great call out. That's where, or that she is a Loki, so she would have that she would have that mindset or whatever.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah.
You know, but then going a step back, I would say somebody still should have been like, I was waiting for someone to say, you know, this is your fault. Yeah. And I feel like Loki kind of was talking to her about it, but I don't remember him saying. Well, no one ever like just straight up accused her, or at least not in a confrontational way. Maybe they were trying to do it in some sort of passive aggressive way. At least Loki. Nobody else did, but so that's okay. That's cool. Yeah, but that was a good concept. I hadn't really thought of that aspect of that.
Yeah, me either until I saw you post that. And
like, so I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But she's still fucked up.
Yeah, agreed. And I posted a short section of our podcast about that.
Yeah, that was a longer clip, right?
Yeah,
the
12
longer
minutes.
One. That one, that was good. That was good.
Maybe you guys want to check it out. Yeah. Respond to it. Let us know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, that was actually a really good clip because that was more than just like a sound bite kind of thing. That was like us kind of getting into it.
Yeah, I figured there's more than just a 1 minute clip in there. This is a good discussion. Yeah, I wanted people to discuss it with us also.
Right.
So check that clip out. It's everywhere. So on YouTube, check it out. Anyway, let's get into what we're actually here for.
We are here for Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, we are. So again, we were saying Scott Pilgrim is originally a manga or graphic novel. It was printed in manga form, like a small book.
Yeah,
black and white.
not left to right or not backwards or right to left, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the funny thing about it. But the guy that did it,
Brian Lee O'Malley.
Right, yeah, he clearly made it intentionally in like a manga format, manga style, because even when you pick it up, it says, "What are you doing? This isn't a manga. Read it the right way."
Yeah,
right?
So it is right, but it is like, but there are a lot of homages to it. Yeah, and it's clear what he was going for, style wise, and that's why it was now adapted into an anime because it fits that style
perfectly.
So, but Scott Pilgrim was a 6-part. This is called a manga. Yeah. That was adapted into a 2010 film by Edgar Wright. Which is again, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Big time.
For a lot of reasons, but I think I'll get into eventually.
Yeah.
It was also had a video game, I think came out a few years later.
Yeah.
It's like a side-scroller beat-em-up kind of game,
right.
which was awesome also. And then now, fast forward to, what year is it? 2023.
What year is this year? Like when they came out? No, this year.
Yeah, this year right now.
I'm in right now.
Yeah.
I get it.
And we have Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is the most recent iteration of the Scott Pilgrim universe.
Right.
Yeah, and it's an 8-episode series.
Yeah, only half hour each, so it's a really easy watch.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, very much so. But we're gonna get into that series.
Yes.
But major spoilers, because this series is very, very different from any other adaptation of Scott Pilgrim. It definitely does its own thing completely, and it's not the same as what the other things have been.
Yeah.
So
basically the comic book and the movie, essentially.
Yeah. And in the game, I guess if you count the game.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. True.
But yeah, if you know those three things, this is nothing like that, at all. This is the most different, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so spoiler alert, if you guys haven't seen the show and you want to get through the show and be surprised by the major changes, then, maybe stop now.
Yeah. But I don't think the changes or the differences are anything that's going to take away from the experience. I don't think. You know what I mean? I mean, it is different. And it really just kind of shows the characters from a different angle, a different perspective. You're seeing that same character, but instead of looking at them like head on, like we saw in the comic book and the movie, now we're looking at them from the right or from the left.
Yeah.
So we still kind of see these characters. So there's not any I don't think there's anything that's really going to, I would think, take away from it. Like, I don't remember seeing anything like, oh, if somebody had told me that, oh, you ruined it for me. So,
interesting. I think that is the case for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit more, I think.
Right.
But yeah, if you are interested in just being surprised by where the show goes, then obviously. But
that's true. That's true.
But it will not. I agree. It won't ruin anything. I don't think it's not like I'm trying to think of something else that would be like the Sixth Sense or something.
Yeah.
You knew the ending. Yeah.
Is that yours by any chance?
Yes.
No, back over there.
My thing is, how did you get through yours so fast?
I'm surprised.
I'm wondering if there's more left.
Is there?
Let's see if it's water. Oh, there's a little bit in here.
It is. It's not quite as blue. If anybody is watching, it's not quite as blue. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of Trent's in here to cap it off. I'm kidding.
I mean, I guess I could mix another one while we're sitting here.
It's all good. I'll go to the meetings again. I'll get this. My name is Monica. That's a Friends reference.
Oh yeah, it's not a Friends.
I've seen like. All right, okay, we're gonna take I've only seen like maybe like 10 episodes, Friends.
I mean, cumulatively, I've probably seen 1 or 2 episodes.
Wow. Okay, so you're worse than I am.
Cannot get into Friends.
Yeah,
this is probably gonna alienate everybody that loves Friends. 'Cause Friends is I understand why.
Yeah,
but it's just not my thing.
Right, I remember why. I mean, I've seen it obviously, like I said, and it's funny and it's cool, but I think I missed the train when it first came out because my friends, my Blue Bubble group that I hang out with, they love the batshit out of Friends. Yeah. And they're like, Mark, watch Friends. And I'm like, I'm going to watch Friends. And I'm like, I'm probably not going to watch Friends.
I've watched, I've watched more episodes than what I'm saying. Yeah. Obviously, but it doesn't make me laugh very much. I think it's a very specific person's sense of humor. I'm not going to generalize, but You don't have to. I'm with you.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm mopping up what you spilled. I got it.
But anyway, so we're saying Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and the Friends on Scott Pilgrim.
The Friends, Scott. We're all over the place now. Maybe this martini was a little stronger than I thought it was. But so let's get into Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Yes.
Is it just me?
Oh, okay.
Is it just me?
Yes.
Or was it not great? Was the show not great? Is it just me? Or am I crazy?
Okay. You're not crazy.
Okay.
But you're crazy.
Okay.
No, I get you because when I first was watching it, when I first saw it, I kind of thought the same thing. Like it was cool, but it's not great. And maybe it's unfair to expect it to be the movie. Yeah. Right. So there's that. Even the comic book.
Right. Exactly. You know? Yeah.
When I watched it, it felt like there was a lot of kind of, I don't want to say filler stuff, but just like, stuff to burn time until we got to the end.
Exactly.
So to speak. But when I thought about it after I had watched it, and I plan on watching it again, I didn't get a chance to do it, unfortunately, but once I kind of stepped back and thought about it, there still is a good amount of originality in it. The music in it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Again, like the movie is its own thing. It's epic. And again, obviously we're clearly very biased. Yeah. Maybe you don't feel that way about the movie, anybody listening to this, but
which I've come to realize Scott Pilgrim versus the World isn't universally loved by everybody.
Yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Like for me, like I'm gonna say it's not my favorite movie of all time, but especially the time that I saw it, it's a perfect film for me because it encapsulates everything that I love in my life. Music, comedy, my sense of humor, also creativity, like filmmaking in general, like the style of filmmaking was groundbreaking, and the geek references, like all of this was my life at the time. All of these things, and they still are in a lot of ways.
Sure.
So this movie is like a perfect film. It's perfect for me. I have nothing bad to ever say about Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Right.
It's not everybody's favorite thing, and I'm starting to realize that it's not universally loved. And people say there's flaws with it or it's not their taste. One of my best friends, Dennis, he hates the movie.
Interesting.
He hates it. He thinks, but he has a very specific taste in movies though also. But it was to the point where I was like, what about the fight scenes though? You like fight scenes, right? Martial arts. He's like, what fight scenes? What action? I was like, well, you're an idiot. So move on, Dennis.
Good.
Anyway, but I was just saying like it's the movie was one thing, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. It is unfair to compare anything else to that movie. For me, that movie is the best of all the mediums they have. I've read the comic book a couple of times. I read it recently, this last week too, to try to get ready for Takes Off. And the comic book is great in itself as well. But you can't capture things like music.
In the comic book.
In the comic book. You can't capture things that are like timing and pacing things like in a movie, you know what I mean?
Right.
And this is one of the few times where I like the movie over the
comic,
the source material.
The source material. Okay, that's cool. That's rare. That's rare.
Yeah, very rare. That's probably maybe the one time, maybe two of things I've seen.
Yeah.
But my point being is that you're right. It's unfair to compare, but I didn't have a certain. What I'm trying to say here. There's like the feeling that I got from Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I did not get at all from this movie.
Right.
But I mean, anyway, point being, let's get into some positives again. Or do you have something to say onto that? Sorry, cut you off a couple times.
This
martini is pretty strong. Now,
it is a little bit. Why?
I'm getting a little. I'm starting to get a little gibberishy.
Right. And the weird thing is, I know we've made stronger things than this. Like the Shaun of the Red's got like
way more
6 different alcohols in it. And RJ's wife kind of called us out on
she's like, is there
enough in that?
Is there enough
I don't know if she was joking or she was like...
No, she's a sarcastic person. And she's being very sarcastic, but I was like, I mean, I'm watching it too. I see what you're saying.
I think I made some sort of comment. I tried to break down what we had in that in the Loki.
Go
watch that drink concoction.
It tasted great, but...
There's a lot
of alcohol in there.
Yeah, there was. A lot of absinthe. That's a dangerous beverage.
Yes, yeah.
Fucking ears get cut off when absinthe is involved.
Right.
So I do understand that, and again, you said this too, comparing it to the movie, maybe not so much. Is this as great or as epic or as heartwarming as the movie? I would say no, it's not. Is it still engaging and heartwarming? I think for fans it would be. Let me say it can be.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the first time I watched it, I was like, it started off like, okay, I want to see where it's going. It kind of hit a lull. The lull had a couple of peaks in it with, music or whatever else was going on. It kind of coasted and then it got to the end and that, you picked up at the finale.
Yeah.
But I do like it because one, it expands on the universe. When I watched it, I was expecting to see the comic book or the graphic novel animated.
Right. There's a lot left out in the movie.
Yeah,
if you're comparing it to the graphic novel, you know?
Right, yeah. That, and I'm sure that doesn't surprise me at all. But like I said, I was expecting this to be just the graphic novel,
like a faithful adaptation to the
right, like you typically see with most anime when they convert a manga into anime. It's they pretty much stick to it for the most part with the fillers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's what I was expecting this to be, and on some levels, that's what I was hoping it was going to be, because I have not read the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel, so I wanted to see that brought to life. And then in that first episode, when they're, for the most part, they do it well enough, but if you've seen the movie, you can tell they're kind of racing through stuff. You're like, wow, we're already at this point. Thing's only been on like 10 minutes, and we're already at point X here.
Exactly.
So, and then at that point, especially when, spoiler in 3, 2, 1, when Scott fights Matthew Patel, and it looks like he doesn't win the fight. Yeah. Then it clearly it becomes like a tangent on the the fucking TVA whatever. So Loki, get over there and fix it. Yeah. But I do like that they did something different with with this show, and I'm okay with that. So there is at the end of the show there's kind of sort of maybe a setup for another thing that's going to happen. There's been no talk about it. There's been no talk about a second season of this show. Not yet. But they set it up for, there's some other big bad thing at the end. So if they were to pursue it and, do whatever, I would watch it. Yeah. But I do like that they did their own thing with this series. Even though it's different from the movie, different from the comic book, different from the video game. I was able to accept afterwards, after I watched everything, that they did something different.
Yeah. And that's my main positive as well, is that because we have 3 iterations of Scott Pilgrim: the original graphic novel, the movie, and the game, which are all pretty or closer together. Right, they're all similar. Yeah. Obviously, the movie's a little bit different than the comic book, but it follows a lot of the same stuff, the narrative, This is the most different. So I think if this was the 4th outing of Scott Pilgrim, absolutely something different should be done. Yeah. Because I don't think we need another version of the exact same thing. Right. So for them to try something completely different, I think it's great. I think it's great as well. And I did also really like to see Ramona, a little bit more about Ramona, because she's a mysterious person, and you still don't really know much about her, even by the end of the movie or the graphic novel. There's still a big mystery about who she is and what her past is,
and there still is. I mean, they really don't get into anything about her, really. Yeah, we just get to see another aspect of her personality.
Yeah, right, and which is great, because I'll get into the bait and switch thing, which clearly is what happened. Okay. But it wasn't like a bait and switch and make her like this golden perfect figure. Yeah. They did show a lot of the bad things that she did. Like she was not a great person through a lot of her relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big time.
They showed the flaws of her, because like Scott Pilgrim is about. It shows a lot of his flaws. He's not really a great person either. I mean, not a malicious person, but just not a thoughtful, considerate person.
He's not considerate.
So he's a very inconsiderate person, and they do outline those flaws of who he is in the book and in the movie. And so it's good they also did that with Ramona. They did show a lot of her flaws as well, and some of the things she's done to harm these people, which eventually caused this whole evil Exes thing. Like in a way, she created these evil Exes, by how she treated people, Yeah. And they did show that, and I was pretty glad they didn't make her perfect. Right. Because if it was like Scott's out of the picture, she's the main character, and she's perfect, then it's like, okay, well, now I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, you're doing that.
There's a clear agenda here, you know? But I did like showing Ramona's side of things in a lot of ways, but also getting into the Exes as well. Like they really fleshed them out a lot. Yeah. I think it got a little too touchy-feely, and everybody got along and everything was perfect. That kind of bothered me a little bit, but it was cool to see this other side of these familiar characters. You know, like to get to kind of develop a lot of them a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think that was a good approach to doing this show. Any other positives you had?
Let me chime in on what you're saying. I see what you're saying about the whole touchy-feely thing.
Yeah.
Because by the end of it, spoilers again in 3, 2. By the end of it, the ending was very different from everything else.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, they are starting to all kind of be cool with each other.
Even with the exes as well.
Even with the exes.
They're all kind of getting along. Yeah.
Right. And I was actually okay with that. You know, and I didn't hate it because most of her relationships, or some of them, were like when she was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So that whole concept of...
You just keep talking.
Yeah, I'm going to keep talking. So when someone is like, you know, dating someone, or they've got a boyfriend / girlfriend, whatever, when they're, you know, freaking like 11, 12 years old, like, how are you not over that by the time you're like fucking 20 something?
Yeah.
Like it's silly. A lot of that stuff, like the shit that you go through in junior high / you know, high school, that's all stupid. It's all like, you know, I've got kids in my life that are in like junior high, that are in high school.
Yeah. And
I'm sure to them it feels like that is their world right now. Once you grow up, and everybody that's listening to this that is a grown up, that shit doesn't mean shit. It's stupid. So like, and especially with Matthew Patel, like they, you know, he was an evil ex from when they were like 12 or something.
Like junior
11
high,
or 12. Yeah, I don't remember the age exactly. Yeah, but
I think Lucas Lee was like freshman year. So
yeah. So it's like, huh? Like, come on. So I was cool with because everybody kind of likes, I think for the most part, they kind of like these characters.
Yeah.
So I was okay with them having some sort of redemption, with them being not just, you know, a planet orbiting in the Ramona Flowers world. I'm glad that they were able to, you know, have their moment, fix their own lives, and not just be focused on this one moment from when they were a kid, you know. Pay no attention, everybody.
A lot of wind or something going
Talk
on
amongst yourselves.
First time I've remixed a drink on the air.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I 100% get that. But I think, and I'm trying to actually come up with what I was going to respond to that.
I like my martinis stirred and not shaken.
Well, I mean,
well, too bad for you.
Not much I can do about this one. It's already been shaken. Yeah, my thing about that, and I 100% agree with what you're saying, and that's a great take.
Yeah.
But I just think I really like this trick a lot. But I think I don't know if I call it subverting expectations or something, or
the fact that it was more about Ramona than
not. Well, that we'll get into a little bit later, but how they, I don't know, I got a little too touchy feely for me. Like, I mean, but I do. Okay, this is what I was gonna say. I do love that the theme kind of became about versus leaving your past behind. This is more about embracing your past and using that to grow and become better, for all of them to move forward in life, right?
Yeah.
To not be focused on these things that hurt them in the past, you know?
Right.
And that was a big theme of it, and I got that. Actually, the second time I watched it, I got that. I watched it twice, by the way, guys.
Nice, good.
I got that the second time through. I was like, oh, it's a little bit of a switch on your perspectives, right? It's versus like trying to forget your past, you face your past, you use it to grow. Mm-hmm. I think that was because all these people are running away from what their issues are. Ramona is really running away from all the issues from her past.
Right.
And then these guys are trying to like haunt her for that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate that theme, but just from how the whole show was structured, it was boring, I guess. So I mean to say, like, it got kind of boring.
Yeah.
Towards like those
middle
parts,
right?
The middle part, or even like
even at the end.
I think episode 2, 3, 4, and 5. Basically everything in between.
The middle,
everything in between when Scott gets killed, quote unquote, and when he comes back, was kind of boring to me.
Well, even episode 1 was kind of like, okay, I've seen this. I've seen this. So I was just going through that episode just to get into something else. And I thought the show was going to be some sort of adaptation of or more faithful adaptation of the graphic novel. So I thought, okay, they're going to race through this so they can dedicate each episode to the X's.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. Then when Scott disappeared, and then in the second episode, for whatever Gideon gets, defeated, I'm like, I thought Gideon was better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
right.
Okay. So yeah, I was expecting something different as far as I was concerned. I definitely lost my point. But
it was. Let's see.
But yeah, I think, like I said, the first episode, the first episode, I was just kind of just waiting. So I understand, like and like I said, in the middle, it did get a little. I guess as far as the story was concerned, it got a little boring, or maybe it was they talked about other things that you weren't, if you were expecting something over here, they're talking about something over here instead, like when they're shooting the movie and everything, and Ramona goes on the set, and, young Neil, turned in the script for what turns out to be the movie that we saw.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, when you're going through all that and she's trying to track down Scott and she's on the movie and then she becomes a stunt double and all this kind of stuff, it's like,
let's move on.
I get it. But for me, again, I think just because it was dealing with we were able to see these characters from a different perspective, or we were able to see this world from a different perspective, and it's a world where, everybody gets some sort of positive redemption, or they get an opportunity to, fix themselves, correct what went wrong. The issues,
exactly. Fix what was wrong.
Right. And I guess technically they're saying it's all canon. There's something, there's an interview with, or some interview with
Brian Lee O'Malley.
That's him.
It's on the front.
I'm all looking. Come on, turn.
Yeah.
That he was saying it's all canon, but I don't want to say he doesn't care. That's not the right word. But I think he just loves the product so much. He's like, everything's included.
Yeah.
So the movie did happen, so to speak, the original movie, or the, comic book. And they pretty much say that in this series as well. Like, you did defeat the evil Exes, and then this is what happened. So it doesn't. The cool thing is, it doesn't necessarily take away from anything. It doesn't. It doesn't negate anything that we've seen and watched and loved. Technically.
Well, I mean, technically it does. I mean, Scott never fights the Exes by the end of this series, right? So it does
by the end of this series, but in some.
So it kind of erases that.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing, though. I don't know. Does it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because and that's the weird thing about all the timey-wimey shit. That's a Doctor Who reference. You're welcome,
wibbly wobbly.
Yo, nice,
gotcha,
nice. Good job, man. I'm proud of you right now. Right, but like I said, the whole every at least especially the older Scott in this episode.
Will Forte, I immediately recognized his voice. Immediately. I was like, yeah, it's Will Forte.
Right.
I mean, I love Will Forte. He's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Just a funny dude,
And I'm cool with him. I'm glad that he's now been incorporated into the Scott Pilgrim universe. That seems official. So he is the voice of an older Scott.
Yeah.
And I loved, I call him Akuma Scott at the end of it, when he's just all jacked and he's been training, and
he's like the red eye. Yeah, he did Akuma for sure. That's a very good comparison.
I'm like, man, kick everybody's ass. He said he studied everybody's, techniques and their shit. So he was a vegan, he was a ninja. Kill everybody. I would have loved to have seen more of that fight. But
most definitely. I same. A few more positives I want to get into before we start breaking down some of the negatives. The animation was cool because it really felt like the comic book.
Man, the animation is spot on to the comic book.
Yeah,
that is great.
Yeah, spot on to the comic book. I thought I was watching a moving picture version of the comic book.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. B, it seemed like it had like this kind of rigidity to it, but that felt intentional.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I was like, oh, they meant to do it
Right,
this way.
yeah.
It's very
So
specific
kudos
to the
to
style.
them for doing it.
Exactly. I think it was what was the studio called? I forget what they're called.
Samba.
Yeah.
Saba?
Yeah, something like that. And they did a great job.
Yeah.
I love the animation the whole time through. It was great.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there were some all the voice cast came back.
Which is cool. Yeah.
Cannot say anything bad about any of that.
When I was listening to Matthew Patel's voice, I was like, is that Matthew Patel?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound like him, but you look at the credits.
It was him. Yeah. They get literally unprecedented to be able to get the entire cast.
Right. That's how much everybody, I feel, how much they all must have loved doing this project.
I see interviews of Chris Evans still talking about I had the most fun on that set. And I even I wanted to stay when my stuff was done. I wanted to stay and hang out because this was the most fun I had. Yeah. And they still have a text chain going even now. It was seeming really close. And they shot that movie for it was man, I might be wrong, but it was 180 days total with the count the training, the shooting. It was a really long process, completely over budget. It was a disaster from a studio perspective.
Yeah.
And the amount of time it took to make this movie was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The rehearsals, the fighting, all the choreography, all that kind of stuff.
But man, the movie is it comes off as so much fun.
Yeah.
It almost it's clearly that's the case.
Yeah.
How could it not be fun to do it and to make it?
Right, to make a movie like that. Right?
Yeah, and I'm sure, for some people, they put in work and it was it was work. It was a job. But
and a 15-hour day is a 15-hour day. Regardless of what you're doing. Yeah, and that's the case.
But it seems like for the, for the cast of it at least,
Yeah, it's like nobody on that set has said anything negative about it. And for them to every single one of them, even because Chris Evans is famous now. Yeah, even Anna Kendrick, who plays Stacy Pilgrim, also very famous and didn't have a big role in this one either, but came back to voice the parts for that. For them to all come back to it, seems that they all must have either
some sort of sort of love for it,
love or some endearment for this, or even for Edgar Wright, because I think he had a lot to do with getting everybody back. But yeah, so just the fact that they all came back, every single one of them, is a feat in its own, and I respect the hell out of that, And the last thing I really enjoyed, there were some moments that I that just for style purposes, I noticed were pretty funny, when or just kind of cool, when Matthew Patel is explaining to Scott, the Evil X thing, and he's explaining it, and they're all in the background. He's oh, we're evil, Ramona, and then it cuts back to them, and Scott's looking up. He's actually looking up in the sky, as if he's seeing what he's talking about. And then he turns to Ramona, and then it's kind of it's those kind of little moments are it was he's looking at nothing, but also what he's talking about. I was that was kind of funny little editing moves, or kind of ways to portray that scene.
Yeah.
There's that, and there's those parts where if they're arguing with each other, the one specific was Roxy and Ramona. And when one would argue more, it would push the bar over into them and kind of get them crushed into it. Those kind of scenes were noticeably funny to me and awesome. Just the style decisions they made.
It was clever.
Yeah, very comic booky or anime. I feel anime kind of. And I was that breaks the confines of reality and shows that this is kind of a fantastical world.
Yeah, I thought that Lucas Lee and his agent when they're arguing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she turns and looks at the camera.
Yeah.
And before it disappears, I'm oh, you guys doing the thing.
That reminded me so much of the scene in the movie when Envy is talking on the phone with Scott, and then she's I gotta go, and she looks away, but it's why would you look away? Nobody's looking. You're on a phone. Nobody is looking at you right now. So you hang up the phone and look away dramatically. But
that kind of stupid stuff, man. That's gold.
It's really completely gold. Yeah. And then I just a shot. I mean, they didn't have big roles, but the security guards obviously.
Yeah. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. That was great.
And
then they walked away with cornetos.
Yeah.
I'm
thank you. I didn't recognize Simon Pegg first, but I recognized Nick Frost's voice.
Yeah, I didn't recognize them at first.
You didn't?
Not at first. I did not. I thought, why are there British
guys
guards
in Toronto? Yeah, and I was first of all, that's weird. But then when I heard the other security guard, vegan coming through, I was that sounds very familiar. That's Nick Frost. And I looked it up, and I was Of course.
Both of them.
Both of them are in this. Yeah. And then I rewound it to listen to it again. I was like, okay, now.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of cool references in there. Edgar Wrong, obviously. A couple of little like jabs here and there that I appreciated. Like I did appreciate the
voice of Edgar Wrong was the guy from New Kids. Not New Kids on the Hall. I don't know about New Kids on the Block. No. The Kids in the Hall. The Canadian. That makes sense. He's Canadian. Hang on. Man, I don't know the guy's name, but if you've seen Kids in the Hall, British sketch comedy show, one of the actors is in it, it's got to be him. It's got to be him.
You're not sure what what it was?
No, okay. I'm gonna look right now.
Okay,
I'm gonna see right now.
I know what show that is though. You're talking about,
yeah. The Kids in the Hall came out like in the '90s, I want to say, and it was the Saturday Night Live of Canada, but I would almost say it was probably more edgy than I would definitely say it was.
Well,
more edgy.
those European shows are a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call Canada European, but I see what you're saying.
Was Kids in the Hall Canadian?
It was Canadian.
Oh, I thought you said British.
But the Canadians are, man, their humor is, I mean, a lot of our favorite comics come from Canada.
Yeah, a lot of the actors, man, are Canadian.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, Jim Carrey.
So surprising to some of them, too.
Fucking Canada.
Yeah.
Thank you, Canada, for all the shit you do. Is he Canadian?
Yeah, he's Canadian, too, yeah.
Fucking Canada.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
I love that place. Never been. All right, it's not. It's not important. It's not important right now. But it's got to be him. There's no way. Or if it's not him, then he's got a lawsuit coming because this guy definitely mimicked his voice. But it makes sense that he's a Canadian actor. Canadian world.
Oh, is it this guy?
Does he have like a bit of an afro? That's him. That's my guy.
That is him. Yeah. His name is Kevin McDonald.
Is it Kevin McDonald?
Yeah.
Wow. Kevin McDonald. That is a very ordinary name. That does not sound Canadian at all. It's not important. But Kevin McDonald, look that guy up.
Definitely played Kevin Wrong.
Hilarious. Yeah.
The version.
His voice is so unique.
Yeah.
But anyways, so talking about that, if I'm going to throw out some of the likes that I've got, I was really caught between saying my first like was the animation style because it stuck to the comic book and it brought it to life, or the music. The music is great in this. Yeah. There's not so much of it, I don't think, as there was in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not walking away singing the songs as much from this version as I was in the movie versions. I know all the words to all the songs in the movie version.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I fucking learned about metric. From that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Metric
from that movie.
And then Plumtree, the Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, that's where they got the name from. Even like the musical score. Like I hum that ending sequence with Scott and Ramona at the very end. I hum that. I know the entire. I know all the music for all this, and I'm not walking away from this one with that. But still very good music choices, and I think they wrote a few of these songs for Sex Bomb for the show, for this animated show.
That's cool.
And those songs were pretty good too. Like I was like. I'm not sure because that intro for the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is amazing. With the We Are Sex Bomb song, but this was pretty good too. Like I was actually like bobbing my head a little bit.
Yeah, and it was a Japanese group.
Oh, like for the intro.
For the intro,
I really love that song. That intro anime song.
Great choice. It's an anime, show.
Yeah,
essentially.
Exactly.
And they had a group. The name of the group was what, Decry something or something.
They're
something.
They sound great. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's 100%. And that's a cool thing about this too. Like if you are into anime, you'll be into this show because it almost kind of comes off as a slice of life kind of anime with some supernatural elements to it, which that's not uncommon for an anime, even if it is like a slice of life anime. There's always some X factor.
It's stripped down from Scott Pilgrim. It's basically about relationships and growing up and that kind of stuff. There's a lot about that and being maturing, and take away the fantastical elements of it, but but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to list off some of the other likes, positives I have. I do like the choices that they made as far as, again, because I wasn't a huge fan of Gideon being defeated because Gideon is supposed to be like the
top dog,
amongst these guys, right? So I always consider him to be the most, the stronger of all of them for whatever reason, because he is Gideon Graves. So, and I think I had him listed as one of my favorite
villains,
favorite villains.
Yeah, and I think I was saying that's the kind of villain I'd want to play. Is Gideon Graves, just the freaking lovable asshole, man. Asshole, but likable as well.
You don't know. It was if you catch him on the wrong day, you're gonna like him or hate him, and it just depends on him.
Because even when you first see him in the movie, he's seemingly nice. He's very likable, very
very charismatic.
So I get it.
Then he's doing all this devious shit, and he got the X's together, and
for a second, because he's like, oh, it was a real dark time.
Yeah, it was a real dark time.
Forgiven.
Laters.
Yeah. So I'm like, he's not a bad guy, but he's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I want to see the piece of shit. Yeah. I didn't want to see the fucking Fat Thor version of Gideon Graves is what we kind of see in this. Maybe he had some machinations going.
Yeah.
He kind of hints at that. Maybe there's going to be some machinations he's got going on at the end of it, which I would like to think that's what he is. I want to see, completely evil Gideon Graves is what I want to see. He's already likable. I don't need to see him being human. I need to see him being completely evil.
Yeah. True.
So as far as likes are concerned or positives, again, glad they got all the characters back. That's a big nod. It's a big sign of endorsement. For what this role, means to all these characters.
Exactly.
These roles mean to these different characters. I like that the characters had more of a chance to shine. Like Matthew Patel, if they had done things the normal way, he would have been in it for a scene,
and he's out,
and you're gone. Okay, thanks for stopping by. You're out. I like that he had more of a spotlight, and I think the characters that were more second string, and everybody can't be the main character, but all the characters that were supporting actors or supporting actors that kind of were on the outside, they got more of a chance to shine in this series, which I was glad for. Scott's sister Stacy did not, not so much. They could have used more of her. She was an interesting character. There's another character I think that should have been brought up. Remind me later in case I forget.
Okay.
That might be one of my negatives. But again, so there's that. One of the best things, again, the music in this, not as epic as the movie, but I wouldn't expect it to be. I wouldn't expect an animated series necessarily to have music as epic as the movie. But they brought out a lot of cool songs. I know, fucking whatever.
We've been saying that for the
as soon as we fucking, not even when we were texting each other. Not even before we were
behind
talking.
The scenes, I messaged Mark. I was like, hey, I'm on my way to the studio. And then his response was, whatever. And I was like, well, this is my United States of whatever. And then we're like, we're on the same page.
I was just saying, let me see what he responds to this. And I was like,
that's when we have a show together.
Man, just for that, man. Watch episode 4. If you
don't
watch anything else,
I love
watch episode 4.
I love that sequence so much. Just
whatever. Man, that is gold. I swear I'm gonna try not to say that all the time.
That might become one of my sayings now.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And again, talking about the music, there's that. There's all right, let me tell you what really probably turned me around. Just because of this song, I was like, it doesn't matter what you do now. I love this show. I'm into it.
Okay.
It was episode 7 with and it showed adult Scott and the Katinagi twins.
Wow, what was that band called?
They're the band that they had together. I don't remember. But here's the thing: the song that they did, there was a song that they called. It was called Hurricane, and I don't know if you remember it. There's no reason why you necessarily should.
The one that sounded like this SNL skit, that song. where he's like saying like half of the words in Japanese.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's what they did with anime, especially back in the day.
Yeah.
Now that song came from an anime that I watched. That I was into.
An actual song. Okay.
It's an.
Okay. All right.
It's an actual song. So everybody that is probably over 40. Yeah, you got to be over 40, I think, or just like a fucking hardcore anime buff.
Mm-hmm.
There was a show that came out in the 80s in Japan, a few years later in America called Bubblegum Crisis.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah. And
who hasn't heard of it? It's all over.
Yeah, you should have heard of it. They did a remake of it too.
Oh, okay.
But the very first episode, the main character, her name is Pris. She's a rock star, in addition to being a fucking, fighting supervillains. Naturally. Naturally. Oh, like fucking Scott Pilgrim or whatever. Rock star, aka fighter. The first song in the first episode comes out with this song, Hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the CD.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's how fucking awesome this song was.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it came out like in the mid to late 80s, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that Hurricane song
so
that they're doing.
Around.
Yeah. You were not even in existence yet. And I was rocking to this song. And I bought the DVD, or not the DVD, the CD. Once upon a time, there was something called CDs, kids. And that's where you went to get your music, essentially. You had to buy something called a CD, a compact disc. So, at some point in time, like probably maybe in the 90s or 2000s, I was at some place and I saw they had the soundtrack to the Bubblegum Crisis.
Okay.
And I was like, do you have this? I looked, do you have this song? And I fucking rolled the dice. I said, it's got to have the song. Very first song on that CD was the Hurricane song.
Nice.
I am not lying when I tell you I played the batshit out of this song because it was J-pop. Now, again, we're going to take a quick pause in the show, everybody. Let me take this Scott Pilgrim book down. We've talked about like the history of anime and all that kind of shit before. Before there was K-pop, and hey, respect. If you like K-pop, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's good music. But before there was K-pop, there was J-pop.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a J-pop song.
Okay.
Was that Bubblegum Crisis song. And that's the song that they do in that 7th episode.
Oh, so that was like a deep cut song they used.
That hit me at my fucking core. So I love this shit.
Yeah.
I was done. When I heard that, and then when they started playing it, I instantly knew it. Like from the first like 2 chords.
Yeah.
1 or 2 chords. I instantly knew the song. And I was like fucking singing along with those cartoon characters playing the song.
Well, now it's my time to be proud of you that you know what chords are. And you recognize those 2 chords. Okay. So cheers, my friend.
Yeah,
cheers.
Okay. All right, yeah. That's true. Trent is music. I pretend music. So.
No, not at all.
No, that's true. You know how to do music. I act like I know music, so.
Right, but guess who's had more, like, never mind, that's not even important.
Oh, yeah, is it,
like, we're both equally.
Age reference.
No, we're like the same amount of success in music, so like, it doesn't matter at all. But yeah. Anyway, so, but I no, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought this was the original song for this show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's 100% from Bubblegum Crisis.
Okay.
And that was one of the shows that me and my friends were into, like in high school.
Okay, yeah.
Bubblegum Crisis was a very popular show. Go look it up. Go check it out.
Yeah.
And that was the theme song to the first episode. They had a lot of cool songs in there. A lot of, rock songs with the English splash mixed in there.
That's a lot of J-pop and J-rock music.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. And so when they did that, I was like, I am not kidding when I say I was like singing along with them, for the most part. Yeah. The English parts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was like me, Dennis, and RJ would sing along to We Are Fighting Dreamers. And then
Fighting Dreamers.
Yeah.
If you don't know that reference.
Yeah, no, I think I have the Flow CD, that album. and we listened to it a lot. Yeah, coincidentally driving to like Little Tokyo in LA just for to get the scene right. Yeah,
I know we are fighting dreamers.
Yeah,
who doesn't want to be a fighting dreamer? Go fix yourself.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, that makes me. I'm gonna change my mind a little bit because like I feel like some of the reference, like the geek stuff and referencing, was kind of forced. But if that's like a deep cut that I didn't even get that you got, that kind of gives me a little bit more of a change of mind when it comes to the references. Because I feel like some of the geek stuff was kind of like, I don't know, phoned in a little bit for me, but it seems like maybe not so much. But anyway, we're already past an hour, so let's get into some negatives real quick.
Yeah.
Now I'm cool with this being a double sized episode.
Yeah,
I was trying to like, man.
Let's bring it home.
Like a double white album, you know, like the Beatles, you know, like this is our full length episode.
Right. This is our white album.
Yeah, white album. Yeah, so it's our white album because Scott Pilgrim is legendary, right?
Yeah.
But a couple of negatives though, and I feel like I'm changing my mind now that from the beginning of this episode to now where we are now. The martinis are probably helping, but the thing is that like I had zero problem with, let's call it the bait and switch, right? Where it was like Scott Pilgrim show. He dies, quote unquote, in the first episode, and now it's about Ramona. I didn't have an issue with that at all. Like, not at all.
Yeah.
But I'm a cynical person, right? If you guys have seen any episode of this podcast, you know I'm a little bit cynical.
I've known you for a while.
Yeah, right. And my issue is that the way that this show was marketed. It was marketed as a Scott Pilgrim show, right? A Scott Pilgrim adaptation, but really it's a Ramona show, right? It's about Ramona, which I'm cool with, right? I'm cool with it being about Ramona, but it wasn't marketed that way. So I feel like, and this, I could be completely 100% wrong in my assumption, but it feels like in the back of my mind that Netflix was like, if we marketed this as about Ramona and not Scott, diehard fans won't watch it. So we're going to hide the fact that it's going to be about Ramona, market it as a Scott Pilgrim show adaptation without really hinting about what it's actually about so that we can get more people to watch it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I could be 100% wrong in that, but just from my cynical mindset, I feel like from a marketing standpoint, they're like, let's not advertise that it's not about Scott, it's about Ramona.
Yeah.
Just so we can get the views.
Yeah.
Right? Because I watched the entire thing in the first day.
Yeah.
And I imagine there are a lot of people.
Same
here. And we're not the only two people on this planet that did.
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that watched it on the first day because it's Scott Pilgrim, you know what I mean?
Right.
And to find out that it wasn't about Scott, but it was marketed as an adaptation of the graphic novel.
Right.
Kind of made me think like, little bit skeevy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not that I cared. I loved learning about Ramona. She's a great character.
Yeah, big time.
And seeing her side of the story was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the way it was marketed made me feel like, let's trick the audience into getting them to watch the show.
Right.
That's what I felt like.
Okay.
But I'm not sure though.
Yeah. Well, no, that's justified. That makes sense because that's what they did. Right. So,
that's what happened. Yeah. Yeah.
The argument that I might make against it is because I think Scott Pilgrim is more of, at this point at least, it's more of a title than it is necessarily saying it's about Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And all the characters that are in that, the supporting cast of Scott Pilgrim is very strong. The supporting cast being Ramona, Sex Bomb, the Evil Exes,
Stills, Kim. The more that I read the book, I love Kim's character also, by the way. Just
that's
throwing
cool.
it out there.
Cool.
Kim's a really tragic, but so sad.
Yeah. But anyway, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, all the characters, Wallace, all of them are very important. Yeah.
Right. So I think you have to put the Scott Pilgrim name on it. Just because that's the world it's in. I think if you were to explore this world with, anybody else, you know, I mean, all the characters lead back to Scott and Ramona.
Yeah.
So I don't think you could call the show
Ramona
Flowers
the world or whatever,
because you might catch, a few people might catch that.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part you have to call it Scott Pilgrim because essentially it's Scott Pilgrim's world, so to speak, and not even the character Scott Pilgrim, like the name of this world is Scott Pilgrim. this, analog 8-bit, Canadian world.
Right, yeah.
Is Scott Pilgrim.
According to Gideon, tragically Canadian sensibilities.
Yeah. Exactly. Tragically Canadian.
But I have 2 questions for you, Mark.
All right.
If I can word this in the right way, I'm thinking. But one, so I didn't see it, but people are comparing this to Kevin Smith's He-Man, where it was like not advertised that He-Man was dead, and it was about whoever. I don't know the other character. Teela. Yeah. It was kind of a bait and switch situation. People have been comparing this to that. And there's a divide for the He-Man series. I didn't see it. I didn't see the original. I'm not a He-Man guy, so it doesn't really affect me either way. There's that, right? So did it feel like that? And then number 2, do you think Scott Pilgrim was gone for too long? He's gone for 5 episodes. He's only in episode 1, and he's in episode 7 and 8. Yeah, 7 and 8.
Basically,
or end of 6, and then 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I thought he was gone for too long.
Right.
Because you find out right away at the end of episode 2 that he's still alive, and then episode 3, 4, 5 is just Ramona getting into these wacky adventures.
Scooby-Dooing it.
Yeah, essentially the Scooby-Doo. Yeah, and so I thought it was too long for him to not be there. So those 2 questions. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I definitely agree with that. With question number 2, was he gone too long? I would definitely say yes.
Yeah.
What they did with him in those last 2 episodes, I liked.
Yeah.
That was cool. I liked seeing like the bitter Scott. And then, like, again, Akuma Scott.
The bitterer Scott.
Yeah, bitterer Scott.
Yeah.
I was cool with that. But yeah, it did take too long, because no matter what, even though this is this Scott Pilgrim universe, and Scott Pilgrim is a character in the Scott Pilgrim universe. Yeah. You should have had more Scott Pilgrim in there. Yeah. And it almost felt like, again, it was almost like this equilibrium between the movie. And again, I'm saying because Scott Pilgrim was all in the first movie, obviously. Yeah. And then in this one, he wasn't. Matthew Patel was in the movie for a minute, and then he wasn't. Yeah. Some of the exes had a little bit of time or some time in the first movie, and they fixed it. Now it wasn't. It almost felt like they wanted to give the other characters more of a spotlight.
Except the Katayanagi twins.
Yeah, they really got screwed over.
In both.
They got screwed over in both. The first movie, they barely talked about them.
Well, I mean, the first one, they didn't. Edgar Wright didn't know they didn't speak English. Those 2 actors. Oh, those 2 guys did not speak any English.
Do your homework.
So when they got on the when they got on the set, not quite paying attention to details as you know as we think.
They should have had him just fucking come out there and speak Japanese.
Yeah, maybe
like just say, here's the line. I'm going to translate it. Yeah, this is the thing going on. Go out there and speak Japanese. That would have been cool if they came out there and be like, hey, what are you? And they just start going into Japanese.
Yeah, true.
Like they don't fucking care that you're speaking English. I'm responding. I know English, but I'm responding to your question in Japanese. Yeah. I understood the question. You don't understand the answer? Yeah. That's on you.
That's a good point.
I would have loved to see that. Yeah.
Regardless of that, though, that's one of the maybe 2 or 3 scenes in the Scott Pilgrim film that actually get me, like, emotional is the wrong word, I think, but like really into it. Like that battle scene with the music and the, I love it.
I love that too.
I love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and he fucking hits the
that part when they get
the gorilla comes out.
Yeah, that part when he steps on the thing.
Yeah, dude.
And then Steven Stills goes up, and then that scene.
That's one of my. That's what
gets me so jacked, man.
Yeah, I play that in my head so many times. Dude, like, I'm mimicking it. I'm like,
yeah. No, that's exactly how the song goes. By the way, Mark. Oh yeah, double proud of you, man. Double proud of you. But yeah, no, that. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Cutting you off.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. The cut, they were kind of cut off. So okay, so going back to your questions. Yeah. They should have. It would have been nice to have seen Scott come back a little bit sooner. Yeah. I'm trying to think I see what they're doing with the show, and it's 8 episodes, but again, and they're only half hour. But I don't know, bring him back sooner or. Because again, and we said at the beginning of the show, it felt like the middle of the show was almost like filler. Yeah. Like we're kind of spinning our wheels and doing shit until we get to the end. So I get where you're coming from. Yeah. So in regards to question number 2, Did they take too long to bring Scott back? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to show him back, at least show him, with his older self.
Yeah.
In episode 3 or 4, show that so we can at least see Scott. The first question I remember.
The He-Man thing. Yeah.
Oh, the He-Man thing. Okay, now I watched the original He-Man show when it came out, Filmation back in the 80s. I'm going to go ahead and jump to what am I into this week. I watched the He-Man documentary that's on Prime Video.
Interesting.
It's fantastic because it shows like the start of He-Man, how they were just, people were brainstorming toy ideas. And, we got, this one guy that's macho. Let's make a guy that's more macho. People like magic and they like, sci-fi. Let's make a show with sci-fi and magic and something like Conan. Here, we got this. Great. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Seeing the birth of He-Man from nothing to what it became in the 80s is amazing. It's on Prime Video. Go watch it. So that being said, I did not see or didn't finish the Kevin Smith He-Man.
I see.
Probably because it did take a very different spin. I think I got into maybe like episode 4 or 5, and Teela's kind of the main character of it.
Right, yeah.
So like the bait and switch aspect that you're talking about, it's interesting because on some levels, I mean, to call it a bait and switch, right? You would have to name the show. Your other option, if you don't bait and switch everybody, you'd have to call the show Teela, right? And again, Teela doesn't like have that click, or the sparks in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
That's going to make you kind of turn your head or, make you do a double take on it. Teela, you're not going to think anything about it. That could be anything. But once you hear He-Man, you're like, I know He-Man. And again, that's what they're banking on, so I get it. But I don't have a problem with it if they don't milk it too much, and the show is still revolved around He-Man on some level. So, like I said, I did not see the Kevin Smith one. I didn't finish it. I do plan on watching it. I don't know at what aspect, because I think He-Man does make a comeback. I don't know at what time he does come back. I would say don't let it wait too long. If they did the same thing, and this might be something for people listening that might be able to answer if they've seen the He-Man series, the Kevin Smith one. Does it feel like they waited too long to bring He-Man back?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case, and maybe that's why people are saying it. It felt like that.
Yeah.
My only argument would be, and again, it's like what I said, is all of those characters are in the Scott Pilgrim universe, especially in the movie, they're very strong supporting characters. They're not like your normal, I'm going to come in and help you, drive the car to catch the bad guy. I'm going to shoot a laser to, blah, 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 do whatever. These are very strong and very, I feel like for the most part, they're very realized characters. Like we get to see, especially, with her exes, like with, the vegan guy. We see what,
Todd.
With Todd. We see what makes him, that got interesting in episode 5.
Yeah.
No
base battle, but that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, they can do a base battle.
Yeah.
They can do a base battle. I get it. But we get to see what these characters are about in the Scott Pilgrim universe. They're more realized, so to speak,
Yeah.
So,
fair.
in a nutshell, to answer your question, like on the second part, they should have brought him back sooner, just because we want to see Scott. I mean, when everything's said and done, we do want to see Scott.
Yeah.
So that would have been, a better way to go. But
fair.
As far as the bait and switch, maybe. But I mean, you can't call it Ramona Flowers. You have to call it Scott Pilgrim because that's the name of the universe.
Yeah.
So I'm not too mad at that, And again, even if you do watch, and maybe you can't do this with other shows, but with Scott Pilgrim, because all the characters are so great, because the actors are so great, because the actors do such a great job, I'm okay with watching them. You know, I could watch any one of the Evil X's.
Yeah.
You know, in their own show, and I would be okay with checking it out. You know, but
okay. So I'm gonna get into my final negative.
Yeah.
And I hope this supports my argument. Is that, and I think I kind of mentioned it a little bit in the beginning, is that this show, it didn't get me excited like the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World movie.
Yeah.
Because it felt like there were a lot of I wrote a lot of notes for this.
Cool.
There were a lot of kind of one, it wasn't like the pacing was not great in this series. Those episode 2, 3, 4, and 5 are very random. Like kind of just random hijinks and adventures that kind of didn't really, other than the parts where Ramona would interact with her exes and try to kind of get that closure, which I think was fine in most parts, but it just felt kind of gimmicky in a lot of ways. And there wasn't there wasn't a through line in those stories. And by the time we got to that episode where they're shooting that documentary about it, I was really bored. In that episode itself, I was really taken out of I didn't really feel connected to any of this at all. Yeah, I didn't give me that exciting feeling of this world. You know, I didn't really want to be a part of this world anymore. And then it wasn't funny to me. Like a lot of the things that were clearly meant to be comedic. Yeah, didn't make me laugh. A lot of the young Neil stuff. There was a
a lot of the young Neil stuff was, and you know, I like young Neil. Yeah, and he was clearly meant to be like a sort of comic relief, so to speak.
Right, really dumb. But it was dumb stuff. It was he's oh yeah, we're gonna be rolling soon, and not like bowling balls that roll.
Cameras don't roll.
Cameras don't roll like that. I was like, is that
in Japan? These carts are called Mario carts.
What? Yeah. I mean, that's not it wasn't. None of it made me laugh at all. Yeah. At the very least, if you're gonna go off in this own direction, keep it clever, and so that's why I felt like that Mario Kart thing, those kind of things. It didn't seem like even the geek references were kind of phoned in to me. It was everyone knows Mario Kart is, so let's call golf carts Mario Karts. Right. Yeah. So it didn't land to me a lot, and those specifically those 3 or 4 episodes felt like that. They were just kind of random adventures with some gags that didn't quite land for me. Yeah. So I was kind of I didn't feel excited about it. And so essentially, I guess what I'm trying to say is that overall, the show, there were a lot of great things about it, but it just didn't feel as engaging as the comic book and as the movie. Yeah. And I think it's not quite fair to compare, but just it didn't give me that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's how you felt. That's how you felt.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, that was really what my issue overall with the show was. I didn't care about the bait and switch. I like Ramona. I like a lot of the exes. I like learning more about these characters. But if you're gonna do that, make it engaging. Keep the pacing there. Keep the comedy or whatever, the action sequences, the fight sequence. Even when Wallace has the stunt doubles, that was not anywhere near as good as Lucas Lee's stunt double scene in the movie. It was kind of cringy. I was like, this isn't really funny or
why would you do that? Yeah, no, I get that. Really why would you even do that?
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I can't think of any other reason other than to copy that.
Yeah. Other than hey, wink, wink. Remember this?
Yeah, remember this. But
member
berries. With Wallace, though.
Member berries.
Berries. Yeah, but it wasn't even nearly as good. Right. So I think there are a lot of those kind of moments that just didn't feel right. And these kind of, I don't know if it was the sequence of things or how they organized the episodes or how they organized the scenes in each episode. It just didn't flow right to me. And so I kind of kept getting taken out of things and putting back into it. And I don't know. It didn't feel as exciting to me. Yeah. Overall.
Right. So, no, I get it. Especially compared to, when you compare it to the movie. And we've talked about that at the beginning. Maybe it's not fair to do it, but it's also natural to do it. You have to do it. I mean, there's no way you can't.
Yeah. And if I didn't laugh at this, but I laughed at that movie. Yeah. The jokes in that movie, I didn't laugh at this. There's the taste in comedy is obviously changed. And it didn't apply to me, but maybe it did apply to other people. But
yeah. No, I get it, and I can't really argue too much with that, I suppose. Yeah. If I'm gonna just throw out my own negatives, I think they're pretty, for the most part, they're kind of minor. I think my, I don't know, they did kind of give the characters some of the supporting characters more of a spotlight. Yeah. Like Stacy, again, the Katsunagi twins, Stacy Pilgrim, they didn't bring them out too much.
Yeah, even Knives didn't quite have as big of a role.
She did not have as big as of a role in this. I mean, she did get her closure. Yeah. You know, she did find her own path.
And for some reason, she's a music prodigy.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, she played I think she was doing the bass or whatever, and then she'd do the piano, and
somehow.
And then she's writing music.
Yeah, writing musicals, yeah. Which I would see a Scott Pilgrim musical. I think I would. But, you know, point being, though, that happened kind of fast. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? I would have liked to, I mean, of all the characters they brought back, I would have liked to have seen them bring in, for whatever reason, just because Nega Scott. That was like the only one they didn't really, you know, mention, who kind of made a small cameo. Yeah, and I thought, okay, he had a small cameo, so maybe we'll have a bigger role. Yeah, later. That's you know, because it was all about this equilibrium kind of thing between the two. Yeah, and not so much. So
they completely removed Crash and the Boys.
Yeah, right. Why not more Crash and the Boys?
Yeah, more Crash and the Boys.
Why not more? Yeah. Is the Gorilla Boy too? Yeah. That's the question everybody wants to know.
It's not a race, guys.
It's not a race. It's not a race.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else in there?
I think you hit on some of them. It, like I said, it did take a bit of a slower or a more, it kind of dragged out in the middle. You know, it almost seems like they could have done this show in, I don't know, like maybe 4 episodes as opposed to 8. Right, you know, but I guess they wanted to show her going on this, you know,
this caper or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, a Columbo, caper. A Columbo, right, as they say, right, Columbo, to check off, you know, the list of characters, and she does kind of start checking everybody off. Yeah.
I think a 5 or 6 episode for this story that they're trying to tell. Yeah. Especially if they're not dedicating 1 episode to each X. Right. This could have been done in maybe 5 episodes.
Yeah, it probably could have. Yeah.
So what would you rate it then? As you're thinking about that, I'll look up the Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, well, I think I already looked. I don't know if it's 100%? Changed. I was going to say Rotten Tomatoes, I think, is 100%. I think maybe there's another score rating that's like 8.9. I think if you check out like Rotten Tomatoes,
Metacritic or whatever.
Yeah. And I thought about my decision whether I would say drop what you're doing and watch this, or if it needs to be the next one down, which I don't remember what it was. You know, or what that, you know, rating is, and I made up the rating, so why do I not know this?
Okay, yeah.
You see either drop what you're doing and watch it, or it's like, I don't know, first chance you get, check it out, or
put drop what you're doing, or stream it, I think was next.
Yeah, stream it, I think, I mean, everything's streaming now, so I don't even know why that's
we gotta rework that.
we gotta
it looks like it's sitting at 100% for critics, and 76% for audience.
Okay. I'm okay with that, because I feel like critics would be like, oh, this is, you know, they're going to say, oh, this is clever. This is, the music and the stuff, you know, and it you know, but I think the fans, you know, are going to say like, it was cool, but it wasn't as cool as it could have, should have been. Yeah. You know, and I'm still not anti, you know, seeing the manga or the graphic novel straight up brought to life. Yeah. You know, I would like to see that with Harry Potter. I mean, that was like an idea that I had. I'll let somebody else have it.
I guess apparently HBO Max is doing a like 10 season Harry Potter show now.
Really?
Yeah, they're developing it apparently. So yeah, but
live action anime or
live action?
Live action. Mm-hmm. I mean, and again, because you know, typically movies leave out a lot of stuff from the books. Yeah. So I would have liked to have seen an animated Harry Potter that covered everything. Yeah. And then the funny thing is, I thought about, you know, would you get the original voice actors back for that or for some of it? You know, so, you know, that's neither here nor there. As far as a rating, I would say, it's weird because I am somewhere between drop what you're doing and, you know, streaming. Yeah. Okay, watch it, you know, first chance you get. I think if you're an anime fan, I would say watch it because it does have a bit of that slice of life aspect to it, mixed with the, you know, fantastical that takes place. If you're a Scott Pilgrim fan, I would say watch it. Again, it's not going to be as great as Scott Pilgrim, But if you like the characters and the universe and the crazy setup and the crazy concept of, ex-boyfriends from when you're like, effing 13 coming back, if you're into all that, then watch it.
Yeah.
And again, I am going to be full disclosure. I do have a lot of bias towards Scott Pilgrim, towards the movie, towards Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I would probably place the Scott Pilgrim movie, if not in my top 10, then in my top 5.
Yeah.
Easily. So for all those reasons, and again, take this with a grain of salt. I am biased. I would say drop what you're doing and watch it. I would say watch it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
For me, I think this is while I commend the new take and all the approach they did for it.
That's respectable.
I think it's the weakest of the iterations we've gotten.
That's fair.
And I'm not feeling like you should drop what you're doing. But I think, again, if you are a fan of anime, or if you generally like the Scott Pilgrim universe, check it out for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't like change, this might not be for you. But,
so if you've seen Scott Pilgrim and you don't like change,
or read the comics and you don't like change, maybe this won't be for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But for me, I'm probably sitting at like the low end of Stream It because I love Scott Pilgrim dearly.
Yeah.
Versus the World, specifically the film, Edgar Wright's film. I love that movie dearly, and it's a tough thing to revisit, in any other capacity when this movie is perfect for me. So it's tough to not compare, that to this.
And there's no reason why you shouldn't. You don't have to not compare them,
But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they're both Scott Pilgrim, so you got every right to. Yeah.
But I am 100% grateful that Edgar Wright executive produced it.
Yeah.
Got all the cast members back. And that we get more Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In itself. So I'm probably sitting, let's say, like let's call it a 70% rating wise. Stream it if you have time. But that's where I'm at, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Percentage, I might give it a 76, 77, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Again, just because the animation is great. The, getting the cast it's not even so much for the show itself, because episode 1 is cool. Then I think, that's weird. Episode 1 is cool. And then episode 7 and 8, that's like a lot of stuff in between this, like just
gets you to that point.
Yeah. It's kind of you're floating along at, but, because again, it's Scott Pilgrim. You get to see all these characters that you love so much. You get the voice. It's more of the sizzle and not the steak.
I see.
Okay. It's not so much the product itself, but it's what went into the product. It's everything around the product.
I see.
The original actors. Edgar Wright is producing it. Even the guy that directed is the guy that directed one of the episodes of the Star Wars, what is it called? Visions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a Spanish director.
Yeah.
He did one of the Star Wars Visions episode, the one with the robot that might have the Force.
Oh yeah.
Which is a great concept.
Episode, yeah.
That's a good episode.
Yeah.
Again, for those reasons, all these little things, these little, like ancillary things, these things on the outside, these things that are orbiting the show itself. For me, it makes it interesting to watch it. So if you are more of a product person, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like not that I'm saying you're more of a product person, but if you're more of a product person, then you would want to listen to you and your take on it.
Yeah.
If you are more curious or interested in the stuff that, the product itself, but the product that went in, what went into making the product, then you would want to watch it, for that reason. So.
Okay. Fair enough. That's our take then.
That's our take, baby.
Yeah. Before my bladder explodes.
Are we at that point?
Second martini really heavily.
I got you. Let me tell you a story. It goes back to 1444.
This week, I got this is actually a random thing that I'm into this week.
Okay.
Everybody knows who Demi Lovato is, right? The pop singer.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of pop music.
You are not.
I'm not a fan of her music.
Makes sense.
But I listened to an album that she put out recently called Revamped. which is
She's got a lot of issues, so you might like it.
Maybe.
No, I mean, I'm not saying you got issues, but
I do have a lot of issues though. But she put out an album called Revamped, which is basically a 10-song album that has all of her songs, but done in rock versions.
Okay.
So she sings still on it, but it's all like heavier rock music.
Yeah.
And it is good.
Nice.
It's very good. And I recognize some of her pop songs.
Yeah.
I do know a couple of them. And when I hear it in this rock version, it's good. She is a very phenomenal vocalist.
That's cool.
And these songs are actually pretty good if you put them in rock form, which kind of makes me think pop is, it's similar musically, but just, delivered in a specific way.
Yeah.
So, I was really, really impressed with that.
Nice. Cool.
What about you? Anything you're into this week?
Let's see. You know what? There was something that I watched that I forgot it, then I remembered it. I forgot it again. There's
We'll try to remember before my bladder explodes.
Oh, yeah.
If you can.
All right. Well, I do know there's one thing that I did watch, and I'll remember the other one for the next show.
Yeah.
I watched something called Infinity. It is a anime with CGI. It's very cool. It's very good. The original one that came out, they basically took a bunch of different anime franchises from like the 70s, early 80s and splashed them together to fight together.
Okay.
On, for whatever reason.
Very cool.
It was very cool. And one of them I recognized maybe one of the characters. But the main one I recognize is one that I recognize from my childhood, from the early 70s.
Oh, wow.
It was called Ninja Science Team Gatchaman.
Okay, yeah.
And the leader of the team in America's version, he was called Mark. So I obviously loved him.
With it, yeah.
And the Japanese version, his name is Ken or Gatchaman. So there was that. I saw the original. It was very cool. And then they made a second one. Okay. Which I was like excited about, and I saw that they had one of the other characters from Ninja Science Team Gatchaman on it. So I was like, "Holy shit! I gotta get this."
Yeah.
So I ordered it on Amazon, bought it, watched it. It's cool. It's nice. The story is a little bit. I think it jives a little bit better than the first one. Maybe the first one's just here's all your favorite characters from all the different franchises and all their different enemies, and we're gonna splash them all together.
Yeah.
It's the member berries. This one was more of its own story.
Okay, very cool.
So it was cool. So
very nice.
Man, I was so proud of myself because I remember the other thing I was going to say that I watched, and I completely spaced on it. So I'll bring it up next time.
Cool, because I got to pee so bad. But anyway, thank you for checking us out. This is Talking on Scott.
Before you go, everybody, there's a story I want to tell you.
Well, now you're doing this again. But yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. Whatever you guys' takes are on Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Yeah,
let us know because there a lot of division. I think a lot of people seem to really enjoy it, but also there are a lot of people that aren't big fans of the change.
Yeah.
So let us know what your thoughts are, and we're really interested. We actually are genuinely interested in what you guys think.
Yeah, either way, like it, hate it, the anime, the movie, the manga, the graphic novel. Let us know. I mean, no matter what, we're fans of Scott Pilgrim. So
exactly. Yeah. But anyway, that's the end of our talk on that.
Let's do it.
I can't hold it anymore. So my name's Trent,
and my name is Marc.
This has been
Geek Off The Street. And now, Trent, before you go, let me tell you. Now, hang on a second. This goes back to 1219 with the